Ladies and gentlemen, like the journey of Zulkarnain mentioned in the Quran, who traveled to the place where the sun rises and sets, today we find places where the sun doesn't set at all. Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Alaska, and Finland, the lands of endless day. These are signs for the wise, reminding us of Allah's power and the wonders hidden in His creation. Allah's creation holds great wonders, the wonders that leave the human mind in awe, speechless before the might of the Creator. When we observe the world, its skies and stars, mountains and rivers, sun and moon, we find signs scattered across the fabric of existence. One such wonder lies in the mysterious lands where the sun does not set for days, even weeks. These places, as strange as they may seem, reflect not chaos, but the precise and perfect system established by Allah Almighty. As believers, we look at such phenomena not just as natural curiosities, but as powerful ayat signs of Allah's qudrat. Just as Zulkarnain, a great and righteous ruler mentioned in the Holy Quran, journeyed to the farthest reaches of the earth where he witnessed the sun rising upon a people with no shelter from it, so too do these lands become part of our reflection. The Quran does not merely narrate history, it invites the heart and mind to think, to connect the seen with the unseen, the present with the past, and the physical with the spiritual. Zulkarnain's journey was not just about conquest, it was about knowledge, discovery, and understanding Allah's creation. He traveled until he reached the setting of the sun and found it appearing to set in a muddy spring, and again to where it rose upon a people. These aren't just geographic references, they symbolize the vastness of the earth and the different conditions in which people live, all under the same divine system. When we hear today of places where the sun doesn't set, such as Norway, Sweden, or Iceland, it is not far from what the Quran described. It reminds us that the earth is round, in motion, and positioned in perfect balance so life may continue. In Norway, particularly in a town called Tromsø, the sun stays above the horizon for about 2 months during summer. Imagine that, daylight stretching endlessly, time seeming to pause, and people adjusting their entire routine around a sun that refuses to disappear. For some, this is science. For us, it is also a reminder of the one who created time itself. Allah says in Surah Al-Imran, "Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the night and the day are signs for people of understanding." Now, what happens when the night doesn't come? Even then, it is a sign. It is an exception, yet still part of His rule. Even when the cycle seems broken, it is it is simply working according to a different rule that we did not expect but He already knew. People living in these lands adjust their worship, their prayers, and their lives according to fiqh guidelines given to them by scholars, again proving that Islam is a universal religion, relevant to all people, in every condition, every climate. This, too, is part of Allah's mercy. The Prophet Muhammad superscripto taught us that before the Day of Judgment, the sun will rise from the west. Science has shown that the Earth's magnetic field may reverse someday, making this phenomenon possible. The places where the sun never sets prepare the mind to accept such extraordinary realities. They show us that nothing is impossible for Allah. He who commands the sun to rise can command it to stay, to turn, or to vanish altogether. These mysterious lands test our understanding. They challenge the arrogance of man who thinks he has seen everything. They humble us. No matter how advanced our technology becomes, we cannot control the rotation of the earth, the position of the sun, or the length of a day. That control belongs to Allah alone. In these places, people feel the psychological effects of prolonged light. Some cannot sleep, others feel restless or energized. Some celebrate the light, others miss the night. Even this diversity in human experience is a sign of Allah's wisdom. He made us all different and placed us in different corners of the world, each with its own test and blessing. Reflecting on Zulkarnain's story again, we realize that the sun may be constant in the sky in these lands, but so is the opportunity to reflect. Constant light does not mean constant clarity. Sometimes, in too much brightness, the eyes strain. It is the balance between night and day, hardship and ease, light and shadow, that brings peace. But in these extreme lands, when the balance tips, we learn to appreciate it more. The sun not setting is not just a scientific marvel, it is a window into understanding divine will. When we see such wonders, we should not merely say, "How strange," but rather, "Subhanallah, how perfect is He who created this." Just as He made the camel for the desert, He made humans who thrive even where the sun refuses to leave. These wonders should push our hearts closer to the remembrance of Allah. They remind us that nothing is without purpose. Every unusual thing, every irregularity in nature, every surprising event has a lesson within. And sometimes, the lesson is simply to remember that we are small, and Allah is Al-Kabir, the greatest. So when we hear about places where the sun doesn't set, let us not brush it off as just geography. Let us see it as a signal, a story that continues from the time of Zulkarnain to our own, a thread in the grand tapestry of Allah's universe that invites us to pause, to ponder, and to praise. Ladies and gentlemen, signs for those who reflect. This is how the Quran constantly calls upon mankind. It does not merely speak to the believer's heart with emotion but appeals to the intellect with reason. Allah has scattered countless signs in the heavens and the earth, and He challenges mankind not to simply observe them but to reflect upon them, to seek the deeper meanings hidden in the rhythms of nature and the unusual patterns of this world. Among these signs are the strange and awe-inspiring places where the sun does not set. Places like Norway, Iceland, and parts of the Arctic Circle, where the natural order seems to break its own rules. But these are not just geographical marvels or scientific anomalies, they are powerful reminders of the one who created the laws of nature and who alone has the power to bend or suspend them. When we hear of such places where the sun remains visible for weeks without setting, we should not only marvel at the uniqueness of the event but understand what it truly represents. These are not coincidences, they are not meaningless quirks of the Earth's rotation. They are deliberate signs created by Allah to awaken in us a sense of His presence, His power, and His wisdom. As mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of night and day are signs for those of understanding. But what of the lands where night does not fall? Even in this interruption of alternation, there is a deeper sign for the one who reflects. In places like Norway's northern town of Troms Sedilla, the sun can shine continuously for 2 months during summer. The people there witness a never-ending day. In winter, the opposite occurs, with long stretches of darkness. For the ordinary observer, this might be a geographical oddity. For the believer, it is a sign of the Creator's immense ability to manage the universe in ways we cannot fully comprehend. Just as the sun obeys Allah's command in rising and setting, it obeys Him when it does not set. There is no conflict, no rebellion of nature, only a perfect submission to divine will. When a person sees this, they may think, how do the people live? How do they sleep, pray, or work in such conditions? And yet, life continues. The birds still fly, the rivers still flow, and people find ways to adjust. This itself is a signal Allah made the earth vast and diverse, with climates and cycles different in every region, and He placed within the human being the ability to adapt. He has designed both the challenge and the capacity to endure it. This balance is not random, it is divine precision. In Islam, reflection is an act of worship. When we look upon the sun never setting and begin to ponder over its deeper meanings, we are engaging in a form of ibadah. The sun, which rises and sets by Allah's command, becomes a teacher, guiding us to the realization of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah. The very disruption of the usual pattern makes us more aware of the pattern itself. If the sun never sets for weeks in some parts of the world, it reminds us that its setting elsewhere is not guaranteed by science or routine, it is guaranteed by Allah's command alone. Allah mentions in the Quran how people who fail to reflect are like cattle, even more astray. So when we look at the lands of continuous daylight and simply label it as a natural phenomenon, without considering the hand of the Creator behind it, we risk missing the lesson entirely. The believer looks at such signs with a heart full of awe and a mind seeking understanding. The scientific explanation of the tilt of the Earth's axis and its orbit around the sun is true, but the cause behind that truth is not gravity or chance, it is Allah. Consider also the psychological and emotional effects of this constant daylight. People may suffer insomnia, mood shifts, and disorientation. It shows us the importance of balance, and how even too much of a good thing like light can become difficult. This reflects the deeper wisdom in Allah's design. Day and night, hardship and ease, joy and sorrow, all are balanced pairs. In the lands where one half is missing for a time, we begin to appreciate the completeness of life with both. This realization, too, is a sign for those who reflect. When we think about the people who live in these lands, many of them are not Muslim, yet the sign is there for them, just as it is for us. The sun that does not set is a message written across the sky for anyone who chooses to look up. It invites every soul to question, to wonder, to search, and perhaps, through that reflection, they may find their way to the truth. The signs of Allah are universal, just as His mercy is. They are not confined to deserts or valleys but stretch across frozen lands and seas, across silence and storm. We must also remember the story of Zul-Qarnayn in the Quran. He journeyed to where the sun rose and to where it set, seeing the different conditions in which people lived. It is possible that these places of endless sun were known to earlier civilizations, just in different language and perception. The Quran is timeless. It connects ancient truths to modern discoveries, showing that all knowledge ultimately returns to Allah. Zul-Qarnayn's journey is a reflection of our moving through the world, observing, and learning about our Creator through the signs He placed around us. These continuous daylight regions also raise interesting questions in Islamic jurisprudence. How do Muslims pray their 5 daily prayers when there is no sunset or sunrise? Scholars have offered answers, using the closest normal location or dividing the time based on other criteria. This shows the flexibility and mercy of Islam, a religion built not on rigidity but on understanding. Even the rules of worship acknowledge the extraordinary nature of such places. This adaptability is itself a sign that the religion is not man-made, but divinely revealed. When we see people gathering in parks at midnight under the shining sun, children playing, life buzzing while clocks show hours we associate with darkness, it breaks our expectation. And in that broken expectation lies a moment of realization. The world is far more varied and strange than we imagine. The Creator is far more capable than we often remember. And the signs are far more abundant than we usually notice. The Quran repeatedly tells us that these signs are not for everyone. They are liqawmin yatafakkarun, for people who think. So these places like Norway and Iceland, where the sun defies what we consider normal, are not just items of interest in an atlas. They are sermons without words, signs without speech. They stand as open pages of a grand book authored by the Creator Himself. To those who reflect, they are invitations to deeper faith, to humility, to wonder,